So we're going to lay out our items in our scene now. So let's just make sure that we do a file and save scene. I'm going to take this quad and rename it. This is going to be my ground. So in my cemetery Halloween set, I've got my prefab mobiles. So a prefab is basically a pre-built object that has everything that you need all set up for you. And what I'm going to do is just basically make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm just going to drag some types into the scene, and then we can work from there. Okay, make sure that you're in scene view to do this. So I want one of these, a mobile gravestone, maybe one that's kind of broke, maybe one of these that's kind of like a little bit warped, maybe one of these, one of these. I might even just put a skull in there. Mobile tomb, let's bring one of those in. Might even just have a hand. And then I also want these tree backgrounds as well. I think I'll go with this one, tree 01 BG. Just drag that one in. Okay, they're the items that we're going to work with to begin with. So now what I want to do is I want to see what I can see through my game, through the camera, so that I can line them up correctly. So I want to take my game tab, just click and drag over to the right so that it's lined up. I'm just going to drag my inspector way over here, drag my hierarchy over here. That can be relatively small, so that now I can start dragging these items around. So I want to take this, just want to drag it up here like this, and then rotate that around. And I probably want 2 or 3 of these, so I actually want to click on the mobile tomb, press Ctrl and D to duplicate, or if you want, that's edit and duplicate. That will create me a second one, mobile tomb 01, and then I can pull one up here, maybe a bit further back, maybe even just rotate it around a little bit. Maybe I'll have another one as well, so Ctrl and D, just over here. Bring this one forward a bit, yep, that's good. My tree, might just move that back a bit. And I want a few trees, so I'm just going to click Ctrl and D. Ctrl and D. And you can use multiple trees if you want. I mean, there are 4 variations, but I'm just going to be using the same one. I'm fine. Maybe bring this forward a bit and Ctrl D. Okay, just maybe another one. Something like this. Okay, so it doesn't look so unusual. Now this tree, as you can see, it's not a real tree. It's just simply an image that's sitting on a simple quad. So if I go to shaded wireframe, you can just see that is so basic, so simple. It's just an image on a simple quad. All of these items are extremely low poly, so you can see it's barely got any kind of lines. If I go to wireframe, you can see how simple these items really are. Alright, which is perfect for mobile. Try and avoid items that, you know, are almost completely black because they've got so many triangles in them. That's just not useful for mobile at all. You really want to be working with very, very low poly objects. Okay, yep, so I'm quite happy with that. Now I want to take this one, maybe just pull it over here a little bit. I'm going to switch off my gizmos so they don't get in the way as I'm working. So with my mobile gravestone 03, Control and D, just bring this forward a little bit. Yeah, maybe I have one there. Could even just rotate that around just a little bit. Take my original one again, just click on it, Control and D. Just just have one up there as well, and just move that back a little bit. And then we have this one. I'm going to bring these ones forward a little bit so they're closer to the camera. Control and D. Control and D. Control and D. Okay, then I've got this one. Control and D. Control and D. Just make sure that it is visible in the frame. If it gets out here, not really visible, but we are going to be doing some rotation on the camera a little bit later so that it will be a bit more visible. I'm going to put this another one over this side this time. Control and D. Okay, and then we've got this one that's all broken, so I might put this one up this side. There we go. Control and D, bring this one over to this side. In fact, actually I might put it in that big space at the back here. Just make sure that it is visible. If it's not visible, there's not really much point in putting it in there. It's just kind of wasted geometry if you can't see it. What else do we have? We have this little hand. Let's make sure that that is kind of visible in the screen there. It's not so small that you can't really see it. Let's maybe put another hand somewhere over here. In fact, I might actually bring this a little bit closer so we can see that. That looks pretty cool. And then we've got a little skull here. Now I think it's facing the wrong way at the moment, if I can find it. It is, so I need to rotate that around so it's facing the camera. And then kind of bring this over like this so it's maybe in front of this one here, like this. That looks pretty cool. You can actually make it out now. You can see it on the screen, so make sure it's not so far away that you can barely see that. So let's see what we've got so far. Yep, I think that's looking fine. I'm not too happy with the way that this ground looks at the moment, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my main camera, and on my Y position I'm just going to click and drag in order to raise this up a little bit. Yeah, alright, I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. I might try just manipulating this texture on the ground a little bit, see what I can do with that. So if I click on the ground, my material for my texture, where I've got my tiling, instead of 45 by 45, let me try 25 by 25. Is that too big? Yeah, too big. Alright, 35 this way. Let me try about 65 the other way. It's a bit stretched, isn't it? So 55 by 40. I actually prefer that, I think. I mean, obviously, you know, you don't want it to be too visible far away, and you've got this nice kind of blending effect going on there, but you don't want it to get too blended too early. Okay, I think that should be fine. Actually, that's quite nice. Okay, so we've got all of these items in our scene. All right, but each of these items, if we just click on, for example, one of the gravestones, it has a mesh renderer and it has an old legacy animation that we're going to get rid of later, and it's using the mobile diffuse shader, which is fine. This this actually does react to light, or at least it should do. I'm just going to change the shader from the mobile diffuse to mobile unlit. Okay, you probably won't notice much of a difference, but basically it means that they now won't react to any kind of lighting. Alright, so it makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker for a mobile to actually render, because it doesn't have to take into consideration any kind of lighting. These almost have the lighting painted into them. Now at the moment, each of these objects is considered a movable object by Unity, simply for the reason that it's not marked as static. Anything not marked as static is considered that these objects could potentially be moving all the time, and so each one of these items is going to incur its own draw call. A draw call is effectively a command from the CPU, central processor, to the graphics processor. Each item having its own draw call means the CPU has to send a command to the GPU to draw it every frame. Okay. As soon as we mark them as static, it will actually group all of these items together as one piece and only send one command to the GPU, because effectively it knows they're not going to move. It knows exactly where they're going to be every frame, so it's going to, instead of sending draw calls for each and every item, it's just going to send one draw call. Okay, in order to see this, if I just move over here on the game and I just click stats, we should we've only got set pass calls at the moment, which is different to the draw calls. So what I'm going to do in the next video is I'm going to show you the profiler, where we can actually start to see a lot of the elements that are going on behind the scenes. We can start to look at things like draw calls and batching and textures and all the rest of it, and actually see how the computer is rendering these items and how long each of those items is taking per frame.